In the last months, obviously, StarCraft 2 has been the main topic of the esports world. Do you think that StarCraft 2 really has the potential to give esports a new boost and to make it even bigger than it already is?
Yeah, I think that if there is one game out there that has the potential to do it, it's StarCraft. And actually that goes the same for Quake. I mean, there's just a huge audience. It's jam-packed over there in front of the stage. And yeah, StarCraft 2, there is one thing that always is in the back of my mind, but I think that that will be different with StarCraft 2. But if you get the same balance as you had in StarCraft Broad War, yeah, so that you have Korea, then there's really a long time nothing, and then the rest of the world comes. Then I don't know if it's gonna last in the same proportions as it does now, because I think that one of the reasons it is so big at the moment is because it's an open game. You know, it's there to win for everyone. If we all know that the first 10 players are going to be Korean on any event, that's going to be really demotivating to many top players. So that will, I think, that could be an issue in the future. I don't have a clue how the transition will work in Korea, so whether they will stop playing Broad War and all will switch over to StarCraft 2. But obviously so far it has a huge impact. Every team or many teams are trying to set up a StarCraft 2 squad, and it is a period that I actually really do not like, because you have a lot of new players, you have old players, there's a mix of old guys, there is a mix of young guys. I already promise you that in a year's time, yeah, out of the top 16 guys that are now top 16, maybe you see 3 players left. So if you want to step in from the day one, yeah, you are bound to have a lot of team switches. So a lot of players that go in, that go out, guys that will that come from Broad War and that think, you know what, I'm going to give it one more shot, and they're going to train 1.5 year full time, and then from the next day they think, well, I'm not going to win anything, so I'm going to stop. And you will get loads of new players out there who will, yeah, who are still unknown. And so I think that in terms of players, the whole landscape will dramatically change in the next year. I mean, that is a very normal thing to expect. And I, again, personally, that is not my favorite period of a game, because I mean we also had some changes already in the team, and in the end of the day I rather not change players. I mean I rather have a player for 3, 4, 5 years. I can tell my sponsors, if you sponsor us, you have him for so long, if you know. And I believe in long-term cooperation. A player has a sometimes he's doing well, sometimes he's doing bad, and if you just take the whole stretch, you have the good parts and you have the bad parts. And if you start picking up players and dropping players, yeah, it's just, for me, it's not working out. I also like to be in personal contact with players, and overall, I know all my players personally. We all meet on very frequent basis, and I mean there is more to it than just than a professional relationship. I mean, there is more to it. So I hope that this first year is going to pass quickly with StarCraft, that it's still this popular and even more popular, and that like the good players are kind of set. You know, that you know what you can expect from a player and stuff.
If you really try to have long-term relationships, how long-term are your contracts with your Quake stars then?
Well, in general, if we have players that we are happy with, the contracts are always longer than a year, and for our Quake players, it's a lot longer. I mean, they are still on 2 and 3 years or something. So that's a long time.
Indeed. Just a short while ago, you made yeah, you contracted a player in StarCraft 2 who's actually from Germany. It's Insolence, and he's playing in the German EPS. And now many people are wondering if that's just a kind of coincidental step, or if you want to push into the German market by doing this.
Well, it's never a coincidental step, because you never take a player coincidentally. You do it for a reason. Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, his nationality is a bonus. The fact that Alexander plays in the German EPS is obviously a bonus, because it's a big league. And it's well covered, and but it was absolutely not the main reason. The main reason is that we know him already for quite a while, and we know him for the good things. I mean, he is a really reliable guy. He has a very good past in terms of teams. He's very he's always, yeah, he never causes any trouble. And on top, he's just a really good player. And yeah, the fact that he's a good player combined with the fact that he's a good guy made for us a decision really easy to take him.
Okay, so basically we don't have to expect more players from Germany coming soon.
No. It's not. It's got nothing to do with the fact that I kind of try to get more grip on the German market. In the end of the day, I work for Razer Global mainly, and for them. For them, it's obviously also good. Every decision I take, yeah, is primarily to serve my sponsors well. So in this situation, it was the easiest choice ever. I mean, Alexander is a really cool guy. He's a good player, and on top he plays in the German EPS, which is nice. But I mean, not a reason on its own. Let's put it that way. I mean, Alexander, I hope he will be in the team for the next few years. So, I mean, that is the intention. And yeah, and German EPS is something that comes along with it, you know. So.
All right. Something that's also quite surprising about serious gaming is that you don't have a Counter-Strike team since about 3 years or 4 years, and you don't seem to have intentions in that direction, nor in Counter-Strike Source, if I'm right. So what's the reason for this?
Well, that is actually a very clear reason. If you just look outside teams like, well, even Fnatic and SK Gaming were fighting over a player. But in general, if you look at Counter-Strike, yeah, every player wants to play for either SK Gaming or Fnatic. What you see with the teams that are below there, yeah, is that they always, no matter how, they will always suffer from any move that one of those two teams make. Yeah, so basically there is more than enough talent out there to form a third or a fourth or even a fifth, maybe world-class Counter-Strike team. For some reason, if you look at the past 3 years and all the roster changes that have taken place, that is just huge. I mean, I have no intention at all to invest money, sponsorship money, yeah, into something that is not lasting. I mean, it's only causing problems. I mean, you had Meet Your Makers with a Swedish team, H2K, I mean, and then another 6. And every week they have a different lineup, because one is playing this week there, the other week there, and so it's a completely unhealthy situation. So unless you have so much money that you can say, listen, you get an offer that is better than you get at SK Gaming or Fnatic, yeah, and then in my opinion, every penny that you put into it is a waste of money. Either you do it and you know 100% sure that you can hold on to players for a year or longer, or you don't do it. But the financial risks with the track record of that scene, yeah, is just way too high. It just doesn't make sense.
And is it the same or a similar reasoning behind Counter-Strike Source?
Yeah, it's a kind of, well, Counter-Strike Source is something that I would never ever consider. No, because it's simple. If you look at games you want to add, yeah, then you look at games that are played at the biggest event. events. Counter-Strike Source is not being played at the biggest events. Counter-Strike 1.6 is played at the biggest events. If you want to get involved and you want to invest money in a team game, yeah, then I mean, I would never ever choose Source above 1.6. And but I would also not choose for 1.6 for the reasons that I just mentioned. And like we have a Dutch team, but in Holland the Counter-Strike players are not good enough to perform on European or world level. So yeah, so there is absolutely no reason. I mean, I don't see a reason why. I mean, there has been one moment or several moments that we have been close to acquiring a good Counter-Strike team. But also then at the last moment, players were making different moves, and after experiencing that a few times, I was like, this is just not gonna work out. I mean, and then on top, if you see what just happened between the two biggest teams, I mean, they fight over a player, and I don't know exactly from the inside the situation. I can only judge by what I see, but it's not pretty what happened. And I think that Fnatic acted like, yeah, so unprofessional. I mean, if you want a player, if somebody wants a player from me, yeah, then you come up to me, you say, listen, Bas, it's very simple. I want your player. Your player also wants to move towards me. How do we sort it out? How do we arrange it financially? Now, and if that is happening, yeah, then it's nasty maybe for SK Gaming that the player wants to leave, but you cannot blame Fnatic for the fact that a player wants to play for them and that they are plain open and honest to you. But you can blame people, yeah, as soon as they go behind your back and you are thrown into a situation which you don't like. So in that sense, that whole situation emphasized even more for me that it was a really good thing not to invest in that, because it's not worth the money. Because you invest a lot of money in players. I mean, if you see what kind of money we invest in our players, it's a lot of money. I cannot have that my player from one day to the other says, I'm leaving. No, because there is financial stuff that is involved. These guys make salaries, these guys travel to 10, 15 events a year. What do you think it costs? A player a year is expensive. So, yeah, in my opinion, it only makes sense if you are working on a long-term base.
Yeah, thanks. Now, you already mentioned it yourself. You have a very familiar atmosphere in serious gaming. You always try to be close to the players, which is quite comprehensible. But at the same time, contrary to many other managers, you always stay in the background. What's your reasoning for that?
Well, I think that, and then I talk about myself, but you can kind of understand what I think about others from that. But I think that my players should get attention, yeah, and I don't need attention. I am there to help my players and to accommodate them and to make sure that they are under the best conditions. And that's as much as I can do. But the very last thing that I am looking for personally is attention. I also, like, you asked me now for this interview, but in general, I'm not a guy that does a lot of interviews, because I think that if somebody should be interviewed, it's my players.
Okay, thanks for this great interview and good luck in the future.
Okay, man.